Okay, I'm gonna get started here with Easy NFT. Just gonna do a pretty quick walkthrough on how to get started. Um, let's go. So the first thing when you open it up, you'll be greeted with all of these things. You got input fields over here, and then we got the workspace behind it here. The first thing that I would do is click on parts path to activate where all of your images are going to be stored. This is the main path to that file. Then we got creative path. This is going to be where everything's going to be generated to. Then we can go to the assets. If you don't type anything in here, it'll just automatically default. So you can just click on the field, click on the next field, click on the next field, and it'll all automatically set these to the default settings, which is, this will be the folder called created assets with an underscore in front, created data, and manifests. So this is where all your generated images will go. This is where all your data will go. And then the manifest is just a list of everything generated, and it goes in order from top to bottom of when it was made. You can optionally put in a manifest name here, or you can just leave it blank. It'll just be called manifest. Just keep in mind that anytime you make a folder in here, whenever you hit generate, it will overwrite whatever the name is here if you've already created one, except for the manifest. The manifest will automatically add a number to the next one, but it will overwrite anything that's in here. So it's best to generate your batch and then do whatever you're going to do and then rename it from there. So we can talk about updated JSON files afterwards, but let's just get started with trying to generate some images here. So you can click on file here to minimize that, and then we'll be looking here at the workspace. This is the workspace here. Let's go to generated width is the width of the generated image, so we can just put in 1,000. That's the max for right now. By height, also 1,000, so it's a perfect square. And then the input amount, I like to leave this blank until I'm absolutely ready, so we could just leave that blank for now. And then I start from the background image and I work my way all the way up to the topmost layer. So here we can do, let's start with the background. So let's put background. Now whatever you type here in the layer name is going to be this layer's trait, or trait type, I should say. So background is what's going to show in the metadata or in the JSON file. So it'll be background here. I like to put -1, so I leave 0 as my in-between, just because I put my base as 1. So you'll see as I go along here. The folder name is backgrounds, and it's color. So this is the subfolder that's in this path here. So the parts path. Let's just go to that right now. Let's copy this. So you can highlight this whole thing here, copy it, and then let's just tab over. If you're in Windows, you'll have to go to, you just open up any file and then go into your document browser or whatever and paste that in there. But for Mac, you can just go to Finder. Mine's on the side here, so Finder, go to and then just paste it in there. And it'll get you right to your main streaming assets folder. So this is where you would drag in all your different parts to make up the images. So here I got my backgrounds, and I separated my backgrounds from colors. So I got green, pink, tan, transparent, dark, white. And then the base body is just the plain base of the frog. And then over parts is anything that's going to be going over the base body or over the base. So I just have them all in here. The basic eyes. I only have one eyes, but the different kinds of mouths, different mustaches, 2 different pupils, ties. So I got different kind of ties in here. So you can have it where you have the parts folders within your subfolders here, or you could just work with just the subfolders, just have everything labeled here as subfolders. So yeah, everything, you can either work strictly with just your subfolders here. You could just like I have base body is just the image right in this one folder. You could have everything in here. So technically I could have my eyes, mouths, mustache, all that stuff right here. But I just have it separated like that into other parts folders. Just, I don't know, it's just how I have it set up. You can just have it as subfolders if you want. It doesn't really matter. But if you go farther into this and you put another folder within this folder, you'll have to, when you go to type in, if we go back here, when you go to type in here, you would have to put in your separator followed by the other folder, other part folder. So then it would go to that, but I only have it as this. So here you can see I put the subfolder as background, and then color is the parts folder here. So this is what it's going to be picking from. Obviously you'll be dragging in your own files with your own images, but this is just an example that's already preloaded. You could delete all these or overwrite the ones that I have here. It doesn't really matter how you name these. It's all up to you. So let's just go back into Easy NFT. So once you get all your folders named here, you just click this button. This will be a warning message that pops up, just to show that if once you press this button, you can't change these, which is not a big deal. If you mess up and you put colors, let's for example, and you press this, it'll gray out here, but when you press preview random, it'll do a 1-0, which usually means that there's nothing in there. No big deal, just hit delete and then add another layer and just start over. And here, once you type anything in, as soon as you hit enter, it jumps down to the next layer or the next input field. Tab doesn't work, so you have to just hit enter. So here I'm going to hit the button, and what this is doing in the background is preloading those images from that file. So anytime you press preview random now, it'll just randomly select one of those images, which is really cool. Or if you want to have it direct, you can just put both of the same numbers in here. So this is a min and max range. So when it randomly picks, it's picking between 1 and 5. So here, let's jump back over to the Finder here. And you'll notice in here, I only have 4 images. So why is it showing 5 here is the max? And the reason, because 1 is included, or this min value is included, and the max value is always excluded. So if you have 4 files in there, it'll never pick this number. It'll only pick 1 up to the number before the max. That's just how Unity does it. So it's nothing I can really do about that. It just make sure to add 1 to whatever number of files you have in here. Okay. So if you want to just specify a single one, you can just do like 1, 1, which will be green, I believe. Yeah, so like when you set these all up, usually it'll go from top to bottom. So green is the first one, I believe. So let's just look at that. Yeah. So it's indexed however you have it in that file. So 1, 1 will be green. 2, 2 will be pink. Tan and transparent. Now if I do 5, 5, nothing will happen. And in the background there's an error probably happening, but I got a catch for that, so you won't see that happen, show anything on screen, just nothing will happen. So I'm going to just put this back to 1, 5, and I'll just generate randomly as I pick through. Now you can change the position by clicking and dragging on it, and it'll update the position in positions over there, or you can just manually set it 0, 0 or 20 in the Y, 100 in the X. So it'll automatically update based on whatever you have in here. So let's just do 500 here and 500 here. Now when you go to preview, interesting. Huh. I don't know why that's not working right now. That is very odd. It was working in the alpha version. Let me delete this layer. Interesting. I will have to look into why that's not working. Alright. Moving on. The color adjustment is per image, so see that I'm on the tan. Well, let's just do 1, 1 right now. So I'm on green, and if I just make it all the way to purple here, and I hit the random button and go to 2, make purple blue, make tan, let's make tan more of a brown. And then transparent will just stays transparent. So then I can go to 5. So now, like I said, it's per image that this is changing the color on. So when I click through preview random a couple times, you'll see that it keeps the color that you change that specific image to, which is pretty cool. I eventually want to have it so it shows an overall change. so you can have an option here if you wanted to affect every image. But for right now, I think this is a pretty cool thing to have here. I'll just leave this for now. And then I'll add the base. Like I said, I put my background as -1, my base is 1. That way I leave 0 for anything that I need to stick in there in between, which would be either below the base but in front of the background. Maybe something that isn't even attached to the frog itself and just kind of floats in the background, but it is in front of the background. Base body. So this one I don't have a parts folder, so I'm just going to leave that blank. So let's just jump back to Finder so I can show you. So if we go to the base body, I just have that one image that's in there. There's really nothing else to pick from. So go back to Easy NFT, click the button, and it will pop this up. So like I said, there's only one image in there. Inclusive number, exclusive number. Now let's make the frog more green. And these can be adjusted manually too. So like if I want this to be at 100, this to be at 200. It updates this accordingly. 255. Let's do this one at 0. This at 0. So there we go. Green frog. Let's add another layer. This is going to be the eyes. This I'll keep at the same layer as the base because I only have the one eye set. This is in over parts, eyes. And again, I only have this one set in there, so I just keep it just like that. I'll keep it white. Next. Let's do the pupils. This will go on layer 2 because it's going over the eyes. Over parts, pupils. So depending on how many images you have in those files will determine on how long it takes for it to load in the background here. Obviously, the more images you have, the longer it will load because it's making a preloaded image in the background that you can't see. Just so it's easier when it does generate the batch, it'll just randomly pick and show you right here in the workspace. So here are my pupils. I only have 2 pupils in here, so it's either going to be those or the stars. Also, if this delete button scares you being here, if you accidentally, or you think you're going to accidentally click it, you can disable it down here with this toggle. I've done that a couple times with testing, so I thought to put that in there just so it doesn't, you don't accidentally press it. Plus it gives you more space to scroll through here when you're working. If you have to make changes to something below, if you think, oh, well, I actually want the base to be a different color, you can click in these little openings and kind of drag it like you would if you're scrolling through something on your phone or whatever. Or you can use the scroll wheel. But I like to just click and drag. It's a little faster because the scroll wheel is a little touchy. It's like you have to be in a specific spot for the scroll on your mouse to actually pick up. Like over here, you have to have your mouse in this field. Alright, let's add another layer. This will be the mouth. This will go over the base, so I can keep it the same level as the pupils because it's not going to be interfering with the pupils. Let's go over parts. Let's preload. And it's happening in the background. I have a few different mouths in there, so it's going to take a little bit. My computer is really old. Well, it's a 2010 MacBook, but that's still pretty old. The fan on this thing sounds like a jet. Preview random. So the reason why you don't see it every once in a while when I click on preview random is because I have a transparent. Let's go to over parts. So in this folder, I have one called No Mouth, which is just a transparent image. So there's nothing, it's nothing here. That way when I go to randomly generate, I could sometimes have no mouth appear on the frog. So that's why that happens when I click on it and it seems like nothing is there, nothing is happening. It's because I have a transparent one in there. Okay. Let's add another layer. This one's going to be called, let's do the tie. And this one, just because eventually I'll probably have a tie that maybe goes up to the mouth area. I don't want the mouth to go over the tie at all. So I'll just have the tie go over the mouth layer. So I'll just set this to 3. And you can see that the preloaded frog will show up every time you make or set the layer for it, because it's just setting that base image that I have, which is this frog. So anytime you're putting in something, you should see this frog pop up if it's the topmost layer. It's not going to appear in any of your images that you generate. So you don't have to really worry about that. As long as you're putting in your folder names here, it should generate your images, not this frog. This is just here to show you. So let's do over parts, ties. Click on that. It's going to load in the background. I have a couple different ties. So I'll take a little bit, preview random. I also have this button here. I didn't really mention this at all. This hide button. Say like if you're working and you don't want that specific layer, you don't want it for this batch, you can just shut it off or hide it here with this button. If you see the H, that means it's ready to be hidden. You see nothing there, it is hidden. So I'll keep that open there. And these 2 buttons here at the top, these just reorder the layers in this list. It doesn't affect the sorting order itself. It just moves it up and down in the list that's here. So I can just click this button, drop the ties down below mouth, and it just kind of flips them around, or I can bring ties back up. That's up there. And drop mouth down. So it just kind of flips whatever is there around with the one below or above. It just flips them. So it's kind of, those buttons are kind of finicky, but I just put them in there just in case anyone else is a organizational freak and likes to do that kind of stuff. let's add another layer here. Let's see, I did ties. What am I missing? Let's do hats. So the hat. This is the one of those images that's going to be in between the base and the background. So I can set this one to 0 just because I want it to go behind my base. And I have it in a subfolder called underparts. And hats. Preload it here. Takes a little bit. Got a couple different hats in there. So there we go. Let's drag the color down here a little bit. Okay. I'm just making some unique colors for these specific hats here. I'm only going to do a couple because I don't want to focus on this kind of stuff here. Okay, I think I got them all. Alright, and then the last layer, mustaches. So I can just call this mustache. And again, anything that you put in this layer name is going to be the trait name for this specific layer. Mustaches is going over everything, so I know that 3 was my last number, so I'll just put 4 here. And you can see the base frog that shows up here. Over parts, mustaches, preload, and as soon as you hit preload, it'll take a little bit because this is my last layer on my computer. As soon as I start adding all these layers up, this computer does not like a lot of stuff. So I'm only going to generate like maybe 50 of these. Let's make some of these some cool looking colors here. That's pretty cool. I could go through these one by one by just typing in the number here, but I'm just trying to go fast here. Come on. There we go. Okay. No, I don't think I added any colors for the ties. Let's go back to the ties. I'll make this one. I like that one pink too. A random one. Let's make this one. Black color. Screen recording and doing this at the same time on this computer is... sounds like my computer's gonna blow up. Okay, I think that's good enough. So once you have everything filled out here, you got your images all adjusted to your liking. You can just double check everything scrolling up and down. This will probably be much faster on a newer computer. My computer here is just so slow because it's so old. But I figured I'd design it on an old computer so I know it would work on an old computer. Just makes sense. So here I'm going to just type in the amount of images I want to randomly generate. You can put in literally any number you want in here, but keep in mind that you have to have enough images in here to be unique or have that many unique images. So here I know that I have enough to at least make 50 unique ones. I could probably make 1,000, a couple thousand. The way to figure out how many you can actually generate, like the maximum, I don't know if the math is completely accurate here, but what you do is you take each one of your images that you have and you multiply it by the next layer. So here I have 8. And then let's see. Eyes, I know I have one set of eyes. Mouths, I got a couple different mouths. I got 8 different mouths, 8 different mustaches. So 8 times 8, that's 64 right there. I got 4 different backgrounds, so 64 times 4. You get the idea. So it's a pretty big number. That the more images you have, or variations, the higher amount of images you can generate. So yeah, I got 50 here, so I know I can at least generate 50. I'll show the log once this is generated, so I'll just click this here. And there'll be a progress bar at the bottom to keep track of what one it's on. So it's going to cycle through each one of these layers. It's going to shut on and off those images because they're preloaded, which is why it's going fast on my computer, because it'll go fast on anyone's computer that's newer than this one. But since it is 50, it'll take a little bit on mine. I'm probably going to skip I'll chop up the video and skip this part. Alright, it's on the last one now. Okay, so once this number reaches the maximum that you're generating, you can click on File and then copy your creative path here. So once that's copied, tab over to our Finder, and let's go to that file, that folder I should say. Alright, so here created the created assets folder, created data, and created manifest. This folder will automatically be there as soon as you start the program, because it starts spitting out hidden stuff that you can't really see. So here, let's just take a look at the manifest just to see how this is all working. Alright, and then here we have the manifest. So this is in order of generation. So it added each one of these to the list. And there should be 50 rows here. One for each frog, and they're all unique because I have it in the code to make a unique one, and if it isn't unique, it skips over it and redoes it. Let's open up there's the created data. Here are the images. So I'm just going to open all these. I'll try to open all these. Alright, here we go. So these are all our randomly generated images based off of those parts. And since we changed the color on each image, it kind of gives it some more uniqueness. So let's just jump to a random one here. Let's do 24. Alright. Now let's go to our data. And open up 24. So the names of these have to be the numbers. That's just an easier way for the computer to find the specific data and the specific images. So here's the metadata for this image. So we can see that the description, external, URL, and image. So here I'll just, the name is 24, so that's 24. Attributes start here, so the mustache type, mustache value is a plain mustache. That's the plain mustache. The hat is a plain hat. That's the plain hat. The tie is the thick tie. That's the thick tie. The mouth is fangs. It has the fangs. The pupils are the star pupils. The eyes are the basic eyes. I only have the one eye set. And the base is the frog body, because I only have the frog body. The background, it says green, but remember I changed it in the app to purple, so my green was actually purple. So if you're doing backgrounds that you're changing the colors on, it's best to do it externally before bringing it into the app and have it named specifically to that color. If you're having something changed within the app, it's best to not name it a specific color. Otherwise you'll end up it saying green when it's actually not green. But yeah, it generates this kind of metadata, and the trait type and value you could have as many layers, and it'll populate. It's following the same metadata standards that OpenSea has, so you could use that, bring all these images into IPFS, and then copy the link from the main IPS link, and then you can drag it into the app here. So once you get all your images into your hosting site, you can go here and update it by putting in whatever you want here. So you can like update your description to, like, this one to be fancy face. If I can spell it right here. Fancy frogs version 1. Well, let's call it release 1. This will be from the first set. Release 1. Or you can call it first edition, it doesn't really matter. Whatever you want to call it. It's whatever the name of the collection for your description. Then the external URL is whatever your website is. You could put in your Twitter URL. You can put in whatever you want. I'm just going to put in my shop. So halfsupershop.com. So just put that in there. And then this is where you would put in your IPFS main, the main URL. So let's see what let's see. It's gonna be too slow for me to show you. I guess I could just make another video with that example, but it's pretty much going to be that URL. Oh my goodness, this is so slow. My laptop feels like it's going to blow up. It's so hot right now. Alright, so it would be like HTTP, two forward slashes, and then a colon. Maybe it's IPFS. This is probably completely wrong. Blah, blah, blah. There's some other stuff that's in there with another slash. This is pretty much just going to be the URL that leads to the main folder that has all your images in it, because then the ending is going to be the name of the image itself. So it'd be like 24.png. But you're going to not put in that part. You don't want the name dot. You just want whatever that last bit is before it goes through each of the image, because it's going to go, as soon as I press this button, it'll cycle through all my JSON files that are in the created data path, and it will update them based on whatever information I have here. So I'm going to leave it like this, so HTTP whatever, IPFS blah 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 blah, whatever it's going to be, and I'll show you that this part is so quick. You just click the button and that's it. It updated all 50 of them instantly. If this said 0 or it said no files, or there's an error message that'll pop up if it couldn't find the files, and that's usually because you either change the file path or you have your files somewhere else. You just have to direct it to that right path by putting it up in the data area up here. So I'm going to just hit OK. So I know that it updated. So Fancy Frogs release 1, halfsupershop.com, and then HTTP IPFS blah blah blah. So that should be updated on every single one of my JSON files. So I'm going to just quit the program here, go back to that created folder, and let's go to JSON 24, and there you go. Fancy Frogs release 1, halfsupershop.com, and IPF HTTP // blah blah blah, and then it followed it by the name.png. So yeah, this makes this part, the creative process part, simple, which is what I'm trying to make it for everybody. It's just going to be simple. You don't have to do any code. You just drag and drop your stuff, name your layers, adjust your layers accordingly or however you want, and then just click a button and everything is here. You just drag this all in. You can drag in your data files now into IPFS, into your data folder, not in the same folder as your images, because that's what this is going to direct you to. So if I did it the right way with the actual IPFS link, I could actually look this up and it'll go directly to the 24 image. But obviously this is not a real link to it. So yeah, if anyone has any questions, just please reach out to me. This is still in the early stage of development, but it's something that I'm working on and I'm pretty proud of it. So if you have any ideas for some features that you want added in, I do plan on making this so you can drop in some 3D assets. I do gotta look into the positioning. I don't know why the manual positioning wasn't working, but I'll look into that and get that fixed so it's released very soon. Alright, thanks for watching.